The Zen Masters were not superhuman. This is worth saying clearly, because the image of the Zen Master that has traveled across centuries and cultures tends toward the extraordinary, the serene figure in the meditation hall, untouched by the difficulties that disturb ordinary people, dwelling in a permanent state of peace that seems as remote from daily experience as the mountaintops where some of them lived. But the historical record tells a different story. The masters were people who got tired, who had difficult relationships and difficult days and minds that sometimes refused to cooperate, who sat down after long hours of work and felt the specific heaviness of a body that has done more than it easily could, who lay down at night with exactly the kind of tired mind you have right now, full of the day's residue, not yet quiet, not yet willing to release what the hours had accumulated. The difference was not that their minds were different in kind from yours. The difference was that they had spent years developing a particular relationship with the tired mind, not fighting it, not demanding that it be quieter than it was, not performing relaxation while the unquiet continued beneath the performance. Something else, something that took years to develop, but that begins, for everyone who develops it, in exactly the same place, in noticing. The tired mind, noticed without judgment, changes, not immediately, not completely, but begins, in the quality of attention that genuine noticing brings, to slow like a stream that has been running fast over rocks, and that, reaching a wider, deeper part of the river, begins to spread out and find its own level. Tonight, you are invited into that relationship, not into the Master's 30 years of practice, into the beginning of it, into the noticing, into what the noticing opens. The teachings that follow are not instructions to follow correctly. They are company on the path that the tired mind takes every night toward the rest it has been needing. Your only task is to be here. The tired mind, accompanied this way, finds its way. It always does. It is finding its way right now. The first teaching, what the tired mind actually needs. The tired mind thinks it needs resolution. This is almost always what it reaches for in the hours before sleep. Resolution of the things that happened today that didn't resolve. Clarity about the things that are still uncertain. A plan for the things that need addressing. The sense that enough has been processed and organized and put in its place that it is safe to stop. But the Zen Masters noticed something about this reaching. It never ends. The resolution it finds opens onto more things needing resolution. The clarity it achieves reveals more uncertainty beneath. The plan it makes generates more decisions. The processing is never complete because experience is continuous, and the mind that processes experience is, itself, part of experience. You cannot process your way to rest. The tired mind, left to its own devices in the dark, will try. It is trying right now, perhaps, reviewing what happened, planning what needs to happen, identifying what remains unresolved, and attempting, in the quiet of the night, to resolve it. This is not a failure. This is the mind doing the only thing it knows how to do: work. The problem is not the working. The problem is the belief that the working, if continued long enough, will produce the rest that would follow resolution. It won't. Because the rest the body needs is not the product of resolution. It is the product of release. And release is not something the working mind can produce. It is something that happens when the working mind is given permission to stop. Not permission to stop by finishing everything. Permission to stop because stopping is allowed. Because the night is allowed to be the night. Because the tired mind is allowed to be tired without needing to fix itself before rest can happen. This is the first teaching. The rest you need is not on the other side of resolution. It is here, now, in the willingness to stop reaching for resolution and simply be the tired mind, in the dark, which is allowed to rest without having finished. You are allowed to rest without having finished. Say it to yourself if it helps, or simply feel the truth of it. You are allowed. The tired mind can stop now, not because it finished, because finishing is not required. The second teaching, the Master's Evening. In the writings left by various Zen masters, one finds, alongside the profound teachings on the nature of mind and the path to liberation, surprisingly ordinary accounts of the end of the day. The Master Dogen, whose writings fill volumes of complex philosophy, also wrote about washing his face in the morning, about the specific care with which a meal should be prepared, about the quality of attention owed to the most routine acts of a monastic day, and about sleep. Dogen wrote that the ending of the day deserved the same quality of presence as any other part of practice. That lying down was not the abandonment of practice, but the continuation of it. That the mind that carried its awareness into sleep, not controlling sleep, not practicing sleep, but maintaining the quality of presence that characterized good practice. That mind found sleep different from the mind that collapsed into it. Not better sleep in a measurable way. Different. More complete, perhaps. More like genuine rest, and less like the exhausted shutdown of a system that has run too long without maintenance. He described the last moments before sleep as an opportunity that most people missed entirely. The moment of transition, the brief passage from waking to not waking, he described as a doorway. Most people, he said, stumble through it. They are already partly gone before they arrive, already half unconscious from the tiredness that has accumulated, already somewhere other than where they are. The doorway passes in a blur, and what is on the other side is ordinary sleep. But for the practitioner who brings presence to the transition, who is actually here as the waking mind loosens its grip, who notices the quality of the release as it happens, the doorway is different. What is on the other side of a doorway you actually walked through is different from what is on the other side of a doorway you stumbled through. You are standing at the doorway now, not quite through it yet, but here, at the threshold, with the quality of attention that makes what follows different from what follows when you stumble. Notice where you are, in the body, in the dark, in the specific quality of this particular night. Breathe once, fully, into the presence of it. And then, when the tiredness takes you, let the doorway be a doorway. Walk through it, and find, on the other side, the complete rest that the Masters described. Not ordinary sleep, the other kind. The third teaching, the Zen of horizontal. The Masters were practical people. Beneath the philosophical depth and the contemplative precision, there was a quality of groundedness in the Zen tradition that often surprises people who encounter it, expecting something more ethereal. The Masters cooked, they gardened, They repaired buildings. They had preferences about food and opinions about the weather and specific ways they liked their tea. And they slept. One master, known for teachings of extraordinary subtlety, was once asked by a student what enlightenment felt like in the body. The master thought about this for a moment. Then he lay down on the floor. Just lay down, on his back, arms at his sides, and breathed. The student waited for something more. Nothing more came. After a few minutes, the master sat up. "That," he said. "Enlightenment feels like that, like a body that has nothing it needs to prove, and nowhere it needs to be, and nothing it needs to accomplish in this moment except exist." The student was quiet. "But you were just lying there," he said. "Yes," said the master. "That's all?"
Observe the breeze, Kenji.
"That's everything," said the master.
Understanding comes not from asking.
"The difficulty is not the lying down. The difficulty is the everything else that the mind brings to the lying down. The review, the plan, the worry, the subtle performance of being a person who is now resting, the monitoring of the rest to ensure it is being done correctly." He looked at the student. "Take all of that away," he said, "and what is left is a body lying on the ground, breathing, exactly as nature intended, requiring nothing and lacking nothing." He paused. That is very close to what the deepest practice points at, which is why the teachers have always said, sleep well, not as a pleasantry, as instruction. Your body is horizontal now, or approaching horizontal, in the position that the master demonstrated. That all the masters demonstrated every night, without ceremony or significance, simply lying down because the body needed to lie down, and the night had come, and the day was done. Feel the horizontality of it, the specific relief of it, the spine no longer holding the upright, the muscles of the core no longer engaged in the constant low-level work of keeping a person vertical. The full weight of the body distributed across a surface, held without effort, requiring nothing. This is the position of rest. The body knows it, has known it since before you had words for anything. It is a very old knowledge. Let the body be in it fully, without the review, without the plan, without the performance of resting correctly. Just the body, horizontal, breathing, here, requiring nothing, lacking nothing, exactly as nature intended. The fourth teaching, the master and the noisy mind. A student came to a master with a complaint that was, the master suspected, universal. "My mind will not be quiet," the student said. "I sit to meditate, and the thoughts come. I try to sleep, and the thoughts come. I spend the day trying to be present and find that the mind is always somewhere else. I have been practicing for years, and the noise has not stopped." The master looked at him with genuine interest. "Tell me about one of the thoughts," he said. "A specific one, something that comes often." The student described a thought about a conversation he had had with a colleague. A conversation in which he believed he had said something that had been received badly, and which he returned to frequently, examining it from different angles, wondering if he had damaged the relationship, composing the conversation he should have had instead. "And when this thought comes," the master said,
The evening
"what do you do with it?"
always brought it back.
"I try to let it go,"
The
said the student.
hum of the city fading
"And?"
into the past.
"It comes
Master,
back."
How does one find
"Of
serenity in
course,"
this fleeting world?
said the master.
Serenity is not found, young
The
one.
student
It
waited.
is cultivated.
"The thought comes back," the master continued, "because you have not actually let it go. You have
These
pushed it
hands have
away,
seen many
which
seasons.
is different.
They have learned that
What is the
true
difference?
strength is found in gentleness
Letting
and
go
patience.
means releasing the grip on the thought,
Slowly
allowing it to be
extend
what
your
it is.
palms forward.
A thought, a mental event, arising and passing like a cloud, without following it or fighting it. Pushing away means applying force to the
Look
thought,
upon the granite
which
peaks,
requires touching it,
where the clouds
which keeps you in
drift
contact with it,
lazily through the valleys
which is the
below.
opposite of letting go. He
When the
looked at the
surface is
student.
perfectly still, even the
You
slightest
cannot
touch
push
can
your
send
way to
energy
letting
across
go.
the entire
The
pond.
pushing is
See
the
how
holding.
light bends with the ripple.
The student was quiet. "So, what do I do instead?" "Notice the thought," said the master. "See it clearly. Acknowledge it.
To be as calm
Here is the
as
thought
this
about the
leaf,
conversation.
just
And then,
letting go.
without pushing it anywhere, simply turn your attention somewhere else. Not away from the thought, towards something else. The breath, the body, the quality of the air. The thought will fade, or it won't. Your attention, in either case, is elsewhere. The student tried this that evening. The thought about the conversation came. He noticed it. Here is the thought about the conversation. And then he turned, not pushed, turned, his attention to the breath. The thought faded. It came back. He turned again. It faded. Came back less urgently. Turned again. After some time, he realized he had not thought of the conversation for several minutes. Not because he had conquered it, because he had stopped trying to conquer it and had simply been somewhere else. Present in the breath, while the thought, unreinforced by attention, did what unreinforced things do. Quieted, on its own, without effort, without the exhausting fight. Your tired mind has thoughts that keep returning. You know which ones they are, the specific loop, the familiar circuit, the thought, or the worry, or the unresolved thing that the quiet of the night amplifies. Don't push it away. Notice it.
Every drop
Here
finds
is the
its
thought
way
about
home
whatever it is.
eventually, tracing
then
a path through
turn.
the darkness.
Gently, without drama, without the sense that anything significant has been accomplished or needs to be, toward the breath. Just the breath. Just this exhale. Just the feeling of the air moving out and the slight pause before the next breath begins. The thought will come back. Notice it again. Turn again. This is not
For
a battle.
centuries, this
There is no
light
winning.
has watched over the
There is
calm,
only the practice of
rhythmic
turning,
swells of the
again
sea.
and again, as many times as needed, until the turning itself becomes the rest, until the gap between one thought and the next
Light reveals
grows
the
slightly
hidden
longer,
worlds
until
that
the
dance
mind,
around us,
given something simpler than its
unseen
loops to
until
attend
this
to,
moment.
begins to find that simpler
In
thing
this
more
moment,
interesting.
find your stillness.
The
The
breath
wisdom
is
of
always
years rests
interesting
here,
when you
in the
actually
quiet
look at it.
strength of a calm heart.
Turn toward it. Let the thought do what it does on its own. It will quiet. They always quiet. When you stop reinforcing them with the energy of the fight. The fifth teaching, what the masters knew about mourning. The Zen masters paid close attention to mournings. Not the productive mourning of the organized person who has planned the day in advance and rises prepared to execute it. The early morning, before the productivity begins, the hour before the monastery woke, when the master was alone with the particular quality of pre-dawn quiet. They wrote about this time with a consistency that suggests they all discovered something similar in it, something about the state of the mind in that hour, after the night of sleep had done its work and before the day had begun its demands. That was clearer than at other times. more accessible to whatever lay beneath ordinary thinking, more available to the stillness that the practice was trying to reach. One master described it as the mind before the mind wakes up, before memory reassembles itself, before identity reclaims its usual territory, before the day's agenda arrives and begins to organize everything around its requirements. In that brief window, he said, something is visible that the rest of the day covers. Not enlightenment. He was careful about the word, not some dramatic state, simply the quality of the mind itself, without its contents, without its preoccupations, without the accumulated self that the day requires. Just awareness, aware, present, without agenda. He said this experience, encountered consistently in those early mornings, had told him more about the nature of mind than years of formal study, because it showed him, directly, what was there before the stories arrived, and what was there was not the problem-ridden, story-laden, worry-generating mind of ordinary experience. What was, there was, clear. Simply, unspectacularly, completely clear, like water that has been still all night. This is what is waiting for you in the morning. The clear water, the mind before it fills. Tonight is the process that makes that possible. The hours of genuine rest in which the day's sediment settles, in which the agitation slows, in which whatever has been stirred up by the requirements of being a person, in a world, gradually returns to the stillness that is its natural state. You will wake up clearer than you are right now. Not because the problems will have resolved themselves. They will still be there, waiting with the patience of things that know they will be attended to. But the mind that meets them will be clearer, more spacious, more capable of the quality of engagement that produces actual resolution rather than the circular worry that only deepens the exhaustion. The rest you take tonight is an investment in that morning, in the clear water, in the mind that wakes before it fills, in the brief window of uncluttered awareness that the masters valued above almost everything else in the day. Sleep is how you get there. This rest, tonight, completely taken, this is the path to the morning the masters wrote about. Let it be complete, so that the morning can be clear. The sixth teaching, the master's last student. There was a master who, in the final months of his life, had only one student. Not because others hadn't come. They had, as they always had, some from great distances, some with urgent questions and extensive preparation, and the eager readiness of people who had been waiting for this teaching for years. But the master, who was ill and conserving what remained of his energy, saw only one. A young monk who had no urgent questions, who had come not to receive a particular teaching, but simply because, when word spread that the master was dying, something in this monk said, "Go." He sat with the master in the late afternoons, mostly in silence. The master slept frequently. The illness made rest necessary in ways it hadn't been before, and the master accepted this without apparent
In
resistance,
the silence between
not with
breaths,
resignation,
the universe
but
whispers
with the
its
quality that the
secrets.
monk had noticed in all of the master's encounters with necessity, a kind of interest, as if each thing that life required was an opportunity to practice meeting it fully. One afternoon, the master woke from a sleep and found the monk sitting beside him. "What are you learning?" the master asked. The monk thought about this. "How to be here," he said finally. Without
True
needing
understanding
anything to
comes not
happen,
from the noise of the world,
the
but
master
from the
was quiet
silence
for a
within.
moment.
We must listen
That
closely
is
to
the whole
breeze.
teaching,
The
he
path
said.
forward is still shrouded
He
in
closed his
mist.
eyes again.
We must trust the journey,
Everything else,
even when we
he said
cannot
without
see
opening
the
them,
way.
is variations on that. Ways of approaching it from different angles. Stories told to illuminate it from different sides. But the thing itself is simple. How to be here, the monk said. Without needing anything to happen,
it is
the master
way
said.
you walk.
And then
Let your heart
he
be
slept again.
still and listen to the light.
The monk sat in the afternoon light and practiced what the master had named. Being here, without needing anything to happen, not waiting for an insight, not monitoring for the special feeling that would indicate he was doing it correctly, not performing the being here for anyone including himself, just here, in the room, with the light, with the breathing of the old man across from him, with the particular quality of this afternoon that would not come again, just here, and found, with a simplicity that surprised him, that it was enough, that here, when you were actually in it, was not sparse or insufficient or less than, that here was, in fact, the only place anything had ever actually happened, the only place where anything could. And that being here, without needing anything to happen, was perhaps the most restful thing a person could do. Be here, without needing anything to happen, not waiting for the right quality of sleepiness, not monitoring for the sign that rest is imminent, not performing relaxation for anyone including yourself. Just here, in this body, in this dark, in this specific quality of this specific night. The breath happening, the heart beating, the body finding its rest, without needing it to happen any particular way, without needing anything, just here, the Master's last teaching, and the simplest, and the most complete. The seventh teaching, how the Zen Master sleeps. There is, in the end, no secret to how the Zen Master sleeps. No technique that produces a different sleep than anyone else has. No practice performed at the bedside that alters the physiology of rest. No special position or sequence or preparation that makes the night categorically different from any other night. The Zen Master sleeps the way all living things sleep, by stopping, by releasing, completely and without reservation, the management of experience, by trusting, in the way that trust isn't a decision but a falling, a letting go of the handrail and discovering that the floor is there, that the night will do what the night has always done. The difference is not in what the Master does. The difference is in what the Master has stopped doing, has stopped needing the sleep to be a certain kind of sleep, has stopped monitoring whether rest is happening correctly, has stopped performing sleep for the part of the mind that is always watching to see if things are going as they should, has stopped, in short, adding anything, and in the not adding, in the complete, unglamorous, ordinary act of simply lying down and allowing the night to be the night. The rest that comes is what it has always been when the adding stops. Complete, natural. The rest that the body knows how to take when the mind finally gets out of its way. You have everything you need to sleep the way the Master sleeps. Not because you have practiced for years, but because the practice, in its deepest form, is simply this. Stop adding. Stop adding the monitoring. Stop adding the review. Stop adding the performance. Stop adding the concern about whether you are resting correctly. And what remains, when all the adding stops, is the body, in the dark, doing what it has always known how to do, resting, the way the Zen Master rests, which is the way all living things rest when they are finally, fully, allowed to stop adding. Right now, stop adding anything to this moment. Not a thought about what comes next. Not a review of what just came before. Not a monitoring of how close to sleep you are, or whether the rest is happening correctly. Just the moment, the breath in it, the body in it, the dark around it. The specific quality of this night, which is exactly what it is, and requires nothing from you except your presence. Be present, without adding, and find, in the not adding, the rest that has been waiting beneath the adding all along. The rest that is your natural state when nothing interferes. The rest the Master described. The rest the body knows. The rest that is here, right now, in this breath, in this dark, in this completely sufficient, completely ordinary, completely extraordinary night. Sleep now, the way the Zen Master sleeps, by stopping, by releasing, by trusting what has always been trustworthy, the night, the body, the breath that continues without your help, the rest that arrives when you stop preventing it. Good night. The eighth teaching, the tired mind and the river. The tired mind has a particular quality that the Master studied carefully. It is not simply slow. It is not simply less capable than the rested mind. The tired mind has a specific character, a way of moving through experience that is different from both the alert daytime mind and the settled nighttime mind. The tired mind loops. It returns to the same territory repeatedly. The same worry from 3 different angles. The same conversation reconstructed and examined for new meaning. The same decision analyzed until the analysis itself becomes the problem rather than the thing being analyzed. The Masters called this the hungry ghost, a being from Buddhist cosmology that has an enormous stomach and a throat too narrow to swallow. Always eating, never satisfied. Always seeking, never finding. Not because what is sought doesn't exist, but because the seeking itself prevents the finding. The tired mind is the hungry ghost, seeking resolution through a process that cannot produce resolution. The river metaphor helps here. Think of the tired mind as a river that has been dammed. The water is still moving. It hasn't stopped. But it's circling within the reservoir behind the dam, unable to go forward, picking up the same sediment, running past the same banks, creating the same eddies in the same places. What the dam needs is not more water management, not better techniques for organizing the water within the reservoir, not a strategy for making the circling more efficient. It needs the dam removed. And the dam, in the case of the tired mind, is the belief that the circling must continue until resolution is reached. Remove the belief. Remove the urgency. Remove the sense that the territory the mind keeps visiting must be visited one more time before rest is permitted. And the river flows past the familiar banks, into territory the looping never reached, into the open water of genuine rest. You can feel this happening if you pay attention. The moment, if it arrives tonight, and it may, when the tired mind stops circling and simply moves, not toward resolution, forward into whatever comes next, which is rest which is where the river was always going. Let the dam open. Let the water move forward, into the night, into the rest that the circling was trying to find. And that is here, has always been here, on the other side of the stopping. The ninth teaching. 3 things the masters did not do before sleep. The masters of the Zen tradition did not review the day for failures. This deserves to be said clearly, because many people have the experience of the night as a time when the critic wakes up, when the things that went wrong in the day become more prominent than they were while the day was happening, when the comparison between who you were and who you intended to be becomes particularly pointed. The masters did not consider this useful, not because self-reflection was not part of the practice. It was, thoroughly, but because there is a form of self-reflection that is actually self-criticism disguised as self-improvement, and the masters could tell the difference. Genuine self-reflection comes from a quality of curious, compassionate attention. What happened today? What does it reveal? What can be learned and applied? The nocturnal critic is something else. It takes what happened and holds it against an impossible standard and finds it wanting. It rehearses the evidence for the prosecution. It builds its case. The masters did not find this useful before sleep. They reviewed the day, if at all, with the quality of attention you might give to a journal entry. Curious, complete, then done. And then they set it down. Before sleep, the masters also did not plan tomorrow. This is harder for most people than avoiding self-criticism, because planning feels productive. It feels like the night is being used well, and the time before sleep does sometimes offer a clarity that the busy day doesn't. But the masters understood that planning before sleep keeps the planning mind active when the resting mind needs the turn. Tomorrow is tomorrow. It will arrive with its own clarity, enhanced by sleep. The planning that happens in the exhausted night is rarely better than the planning that happens in the rested morning. Set tomorrow down. It will be there. And before sleep, the masters did not try to sleep. This may be the most important of the 3, because trying to sleep is the surest way to delay it. The trying is effort, and effort is wakefulness. The mind that is trying to sleep is a mind that is working, and a working mind is an awake mind. The masters simply stopped reviewing, stopped planning, stopped trying, stopped adding anything at all, and discovered, as everyone discovers when they genuinely stop, that sleep does not need to be achieved. It only needs to not be prevented. When the preventing stops, the sleep comes.
In the
As
quiet
naturally
moments
as
of
water
dawn,
flows downhill,
nature reveals
as
its
inevitably
most
as the
delicate
tired body
dance.
moves toward rest, when the
Here,
preventing
in the
mind
cool
gets out of
embrace
its
the
way.
blue hour, the silver
3
stream
things
whispers
not
over
to
the
do.
slate-gray stones,
No
a
review
moment
of the day's
perfect
failures.
tranquility.
No planning of tomorrow. No trying to sleep. What remains when these 3 stop? The body, in the dark. The breath,
The night holds
moving.
its breath,
The
a
night,
canvas of shadows
doing
and
what
soft
nights do.
moonlight.
And
Breathing
beneath the
in,
3 things that have
breathing
stopped,
out. Let
the
the
rest
warmth surround
that was
you
always
as you
here,
sink deeper into sleep.
waiting with the patience of something that has never needed to rush, for the preventing to stop, which it is stopping now,
The world sleeps,
with
but
each
the
breath,
snail journeys on,
a little
leaving
more.
a trail of moonlight
The
across
10th
the velvet
teaching,
moss.
the mind
The
that
10th
rests in
teaching.
itself. There is a phrase that appears in various forms across the Zen tradition. The mind resting in itself, not resting in an object, not resting in a technique or a
In the
practice
silence,
or a
we
particular
find
state to be
clarity.
maintained, resting in
Let
itself.
the gentle light guide your
The
thoughts.
masters used this phrase to point at something that is, in principle, very simple, and in practice, very difficult to sustain, because it requires giving up the mind's habitual tendency to be about something, to be concerned with something, to reach toward something, or away from something. The resting mind is a mind that is simply mind, aware without a particular object, present without a particular destination, here without a particular agenda. The masters said this was not an achievement, not something you practice your way into and then maintain through continued effort. It was the mind's natural state, the way a pool is naturally still when nothing disturbs it, the way the sky is naturally clear when there are no clouds. The thoughts, the worries, the plans, the reviews, these are not the mind itself. They are what passes through the mind. The mind itself, the awareness that knows the thoughts, the presence within which the thoughts arise, that is naturally still. You cannot see the sky while watching the clouds. But when the clouds move past, the sky is there. It was always there. The clouds were in it, not made of it. Your mind is the sky. The thoughts are clouds. The tired mind is a mind with many clouds. But underneath every cloud, in every gap between one thought and the next, the sky, still, clear, exactly what it always is, not achieved, not created, simply here when the clouds thin enough to see it. They are thinning now, not because you are forcing them to thin, because the night and the stillness and the stories and the teachings have been doing what they do, gently, persistently, without drama, and the clouds are moving, and in the gaps between them, the sky, your own sky, the mind resting in itself, still, clear, here. The 11th teaching. Good night. This is the last teaching of the night, and it is not a teaching. It is a recognition. You have been here for this entire hour, or however much of it you have heard before sleep arrived to take you. You have been here while the tired mind was spoken to directly, without pretending it was other than it is. While the teachings moved through you, some landing, some passing, all of them doing their quiet work in ways that are not always immediately visible. You have been here, and being here, genuinely here, with all the tiredness and all the unresolved things, and all the particular quality of this specific night. Being here is the whole practice. The masters spent decades learning to be here. You are here now, not with decades of practice behind you perhaps, but here, in this moment, in this body, in this night. The tired mind is here, the breath is here, the dark is here, and the rest that the tired mind has been trying to reach through all its circling and reviewing and planning, the rest is here too. Not on the other side of the circling, not after the resolution. Here, in the stopping, in the being, in the simple, sufficient, completely available fact of a body in the dark that has stopped adding anything to the night. You have stopped adding, or you are stopping, or the stopping is happening on its own, as it does, as it always does, when the conditions are right. The conditions are right. The night is doing its work. The body is doing its work. The tired mind is, at last, being given what it actually needed all along. not resolution. Rest. Deep, complete, genuine, unglamorous, ordinary, extraordinary rest. The kind the masters described. The kind that is available to everyone. The kind that is here, right now, for you. Sleep well. Good night. The 12th teaching. Stories. The tired mind tells itself. The tired mind is a storyteller. This is worth understanding, because the stories it tells feel true in a way that is difficult to question from inside them. They feel like observations rather than constructions, like facts rather than interpretations, like the natural and obvious way of seeing things rather than one particular way among many possible ways. The tired mind tells stories about adequacy, about whether enough was done today, about whether the things that went wrong were preventable, and what their going wrong reveals about the person they happen to. The tired mind tells stories about the future, about what tomorrow might bring that will be difficult, about whether the things being worried about will resolve themselves or grow, about whether the current path leads somewhere good. The tired mind tells stories about relationships, about what certain words meant and what they might have communicated, and what the other person is currently thinking, and what that implies. These stories feel urgent. They feel as though engaging with them is the responsible thing to do, the thing that a serious person, a capable person, a person who takes their life and relationships and work seriously would naturally do. But the masters understood something about the stories of the tired mind that the tired mind itself cannot see clearly. The stories are told by exhaustion, and exhaustion is not a reliable narrator. The story about adequacy told by the exhausted mind is not the same story that the rested mind would tell about the same day. The rested mind often finds the same events much less damning, much less significant, much more easily contextualized. The story about the future told by the exhausted mind is not the same story the rested mind would tell about the same uncertain situation. The rested mind often finds uncertainty less threatening, more workable, more the ordinary condition of life that it actually is. The stories of the tired mind are not lies, but they are told by an unreliable narrator. And the most reliable thing you can do with an unreliable narrator is wait. Wait until the narrator is rested. Wait until morning, when the same storyteller, restored, will tell a different story about the same material. The events will be the same. The story will be different. Wait. The stories can wait. Whatever your tired mind is telling you right now, about today, about tomorrow, about yourself, about the people in your life, those stories can wait until morning. Not because they are unimportant. Some of them are important. But because the version being told right now is the exhausted version, and the exhausted version is not the most accurate version, and the most accurate version will be available after sleep, you don't need to engage with the exhausted narrator tonight. You can simply note, these are the stories the tired mind is telling, and set them aside, not permanently, until morning, when the narrator is rested and the stories are clearer and the truth in them is easier to find. For now, the stories can sleep too. Give them the night off, and in the morning, the rested versions told by the rested mind will be there, clearer, more accurate, more useful, and infinitely preferable to the exhausted originals. The 13th teaching, what remains when everything the tired mind carries has been set down? The reviews, the plans, the stories about adequacy and futures and relationships, the trying to sleep, the performing of relaxation, the monitoring of whether rest is happening correctly. When all of that has been set down, one by one, or all at once, what remains? The masters were asked this question in various forms, and they gave answers that varied in language, but agreed in pointing. Some said, awareness. Some said, presence. Some said, the ground of being. Some said nothing, and simply held up a hand, or pointed at the moon, or made a sound. All of them were pointing at the same thing, the thing that is here when everything else is set down, which is not emptiness, which is not absence, which is the most fundamental thing, the awareness within which everything else occurs, the knowing that knows the thoughts, the presence that is present for every experience, the simple, continuous, unspectacular fact of being here. That is what remains. That has always been here. Before the tired mind arrived with its stories, after the tired mind departs into sleep, in the gap between thoughts, in the pause between breaths, in the silence beneath the noise. Always here, never absent, never tired, never in need of rest, because it is the ground within which rest occurs. This is what the masters slept in, what they woke in, what was present through everything, the difficult seasons and the peaceful ones, the years of intense practice and the years of ordinary living, the mornings of clarity and the nights of confusion. Always here. You are in it right now. You have always been in it. It does not require you to do anything. It does not require you to be any particular way. It is simply here, holding this night, holding you, holding the rest that is coming, as it holds everything, without effort, without end. Rest now, in what remains, in the ground that has always been here, in the awareness that needs no rest, because it is what rest rests in. Let the tired mind sleep, and remain the way the masters remained, in the simple, unglamorous, completely sufficient fact of being here, aware, present, at peace. Good night. There is something the tired mind needs to hear, not instructions, not another teaching to absorb and apply. Something simpler, that it has done enough today, not that it did everything perfectly, not that there are no things that could have gone better, or been handled differently, or said with more care. None of that is being suggested. But it has done enough. It showed up. It moved through a day that had things in it, some expected, some not, some manageable, some more than manageable. It processed and responded and decided and related and worked and rested and tried and sometimes succeeded and sometimes didn't. It did a day, and that is enough. The tired mind often doesn't believe this. It holds itself to a standard of completion that no day ever meets, because the standard is defined by an idea of what a day should have accomplished. And that idea always includes more than any actual day contains. But the standard is not real. The day was real, and the day was enough. You were enough today, exactly as you were, with whatever you did and whatever you didn't, and however close or far from your own ideals the actual day turned out to be. It is done now. It cannot be undone or redone or done differently. It was what it was, and what it was enough. The masters, who spent decades examining the nature of mind and the conditions for genuine peace, arrived at conclusions that often surprised the people who came expecting elaborate prescriptions. The conclusion they arrived at most consistently was the simplest one: that what is needed is less, not more. Less adding, less acquiring, less management, less performance, less effort directed at becoming something other than what you are. And that what is here, when the less finally becomes little enough, is exactly what was always being sought. Not enlightenment in the dramatic sense, not a special state requiring special conditions. Just this: the ordinary, extraordinary, completely available fact of being here, breathing, alive, in a body that has done a day, and that is now receiving the night that follows every day, that has followed every day that has ever been lived, that will follow every day that will ever be lived. The night is here. You are in it. The tired mind is quieting. The body is settling. The rest is arriving. Not because you have finally done enough to deserve it, but because it was always going to arrive. Because this is what nights do. Because the body was always going to claim what it needed when the preventing stopped. The preventing is stopping. With this breath, and this one, and this one. The tired mind is becoming the resting mind, which is becoming the sleeping mind, which will become, in some hours after the rest has done its work, the clear morning mind, ready for the next day, with a freshness that tonight's tiredness cannot imagine from inside itself. That morning is coming. This night is the path to it. You are already on the path. You are already arriving. Rest now. Sleep the way the masters slept. By stopping, by trusting, by releasing what the night is ready to receive. Everything. The tired mind and all it carries, into the dark that holds everything, into the rest that restores everything, into the morning that follows everything. Good night. One more thing the masters knew. They knew that the people who came to them with the most suffering were rarely the people who had the hardest lives. They were the people with the hardest relationship to their lives, who fought the most against what was happening, who spent the most energy wishing things were different than they were, who carried the most resistance to the ordinary imperfection of an ordinary human existence. And they knew that the people who suffered least were not those with the easiest lives, but those who had developed through practice, through loss, through the particular education that difficult experience offers to those willing to receive it, a certain flexibility, the ability to be in what is, without requiring it to be other, the willingness to let the tired mind be tired, to let the unresolved thing be unresolved, to let the night be the night, without demanding that it become something it isn't. The masters called this acceptance, not resignation, not giving up, not pretending that what is difficult isn't difficult, but the genuine, wholehearted, complete meeting of things as they actually are, rather than as they should be, as you wish they were, as they would be if everything had gone differently. The tired mind is tired. This night has whatever quality it has. The unresolved things are unresolved. The body needs what it needs. All of this is exactly what it is. And exactly as it is workable. You can rest in it. The master would rest in it, would find in the exact conditions of this exact night not an obstacle to rest, but the material of rest. The tiredness itself rested in rather than fought, becomes the path to sleep. The unresolved things, held lightly rather than gripped, lose their power to keep the night awake. The imperfect day, accepted as the only kind of day that exists, releases its claim on the night's attention. This is how the Master sleeps, in the exact conditions that are present, without requiring different conditions, finding in the exact night that is here. This night, with all its qualities and its tiredness and its everything, finding in this exact night, exactly as it is, the rest that is needed. It is here, in this night, in these conditions, in this tired, trying, completely sufficient mind. The rest is here. You are here. Good night.